Good evening. A murder investigation has begun near Bridgwater after the death of a woman in her 80s. Police were called to report of a burglary in Broomfield, a village near the town, yesterday afternoon. Our reporter Richard Lawrence was at the scene.
Well, this is the very sad sight of Broomfield this evening, an otherwise idyllic spot on the edge of the Quantock Hills, but sadly home to a mobile police station that has been the hub of activity here today, involving forensic experts and detectives carrying out a thorough search of the property where last night at around 20 to 6 there were reports of a burglary. And sadly, they found a woman in her 80s who was badly injured, who then later died here at the scene. What followed was an extensive police search that involved the force helicopter, and a local man in his 30s was arrested around 20 to 9. Now, this has been an area of police activity, not just here, but right around the village too. There are police cordons on all the main approach roads to the area at this time that remain in force while this investigation is ongoing. Police say they want to hear from anybody that may have any concerns in the area because they may be alarmed by the seriousness of what happened here on this idyllic spot just close to the Fine Court estate.
Richard Lawrence reporting there. Next tonight, dozens of refugees from Afghanistan who have been living in hotels across the southwest have been given hope that new permanent homes will finally be found for them. During the war, Afghan interpreters and community leaders helped British troops in their battle with the Taliban. And when our forces withdrew, thousands came to Britain in need of protection. Since then, many families have been staying in hotels, including in places like Exmouth, as Bob Cruz reports.
Refugee families received a particularly warm welcome here in Exmouth when they began to arrive at the end of 2021. People went out of their way here, donating supplies to help them settle in. But this was always supposed to be bridging accommodation, a temporary measure. And today, the Plymouth MP Johnny Mercer, Veterans Affairs Minister, announced that there will now be an acceleration of the effort to get these families out of hotels and into proper homes.
Veterans across this country enjoying normal lives today because of the service and sacrifice of this cohort in keeping them safe in Afghanistan. It is a national duty that we have in communities up and down this country. That is why the government is taking significant steps to honour and protect this group by providing increased support and funding to facilitate the transition into long-term settled accommodation.
Some campaigners have expressed concerns about this new plan. They're worried that some families might be evicted or even become homeless if they don't register for these new properties in good time. There is also a concern about whether there's enough available housing out there. The local government association today referring to a chronic shortage of properties across the UK. The Torbay MP, Kevin Foster, who was actually an immigration minister at the time these families began to arrive, said that it's clear these families have been in hotels for too long.
But I do think there was a chunk of naivety about how much housing would come forward in the latter part of September 2021, and it's clearly now necessary to bring to an end the use of hotels. No family should have a hotel as their home for the long term.
It's important to stress this is a separate issue to that of asylum seekers arriving in boats across the Channel and being housed in hotels. That's something we've seen protests about here in the West Country, and the government is coming under increased pressure to deal with that issue too. And I'm told that we should hear more on that tomorrow. Bob Cruz, ITV News, Exmouth.
A woman from Bridgwater says she wants an apology from the government after she and thousands of others were forcibly adopted more than 50 years ago. Vic Fielder was given up for adoption when she was just 7 days old, after her mother became pregnant when she wasn't married. Adam Grierson reports.
For decades, Vic Fielder did not know the full extent of her family history, beyond what was on her birth certificate. She's among the estimated 250,000 people affected by the practice of forced adoptions in the 50s, 60s and 70s.
My birth mother was 18, so she wasn't very old. And my birth father was 26 and married. So she went home for Christmas, found out that she was pregnant, and then when she came back, he didn't want anything to do with the pregnancy. Initially, she thought that she might be able to keep me, and she looked for places to live, and she tried to work things out, but it was never going to happen. The fact that I'm a biracial baby made it more difficult for her because her family wouldn't allow her to come home with a child of colour. So that avenue was closed to her as well.
In 2004, Vic traced her mother only to find that she had died when she was just 38. But it was not until 2019 when she traced her father using DNA, after a diagnosis of multiple sclerosis meant it was important for her to know more about her family's medical history. Vic now wants a formal apology from the government for the state's role in forced adoptions.
Last year, there was a joint committee into human rights inquiry into forced adoptions. At the end of it all, the joint committee recommended that the government apologise for their part in forced adoptions. The government took the JCHR inquiry and responded without the apology that both the Human Rights Committee, the birth mothers and the adoptees all asked for.
In a statement, the government said sorry on behalf of society, but stopped short of a full apology. It said the adoption practices of this time caused suffering to many women and their children and had a profound impact on the family lives of all those involved. We are sorry to all those affected by historic adoption practices. We are sorry on behalf of society for what happened. Whilst we cannot undo the past, lessons of the time have been learned and have led to significant changes to legislation and practice. Vic has joined together with other adoptees to create a support network and to encourage others to speak out about their experience. Adam Grierson, ITV News.
And finally for this evening, children from schools in Keyham have spent the day as mini police officers. And instead of busting criminals, they've been planting a new wildflower meadow for future generations to enjoy, as Claire Manning has been finding out.
No, this wasn't the spring sunshine any of this lot had hoped for, but these children loved getting absolutely filthy planting wild seeds in this Keyham park.
What do you hope this park will bring to Keyham in the future?
This park will bring to Keyham wildlife and nature, because seeing wildflowers does make people happy.
It's important because we're gonna make our environment better, and it's gonna be there's gonna be more oxygen.
2 primary schools from Keyham were here as part of an engagement programme with the police, which aims, among other things, to give them positive experiences of policing.
So the mini police we are children, but we're here to help the community, so we could tell people to stop if they get bullied, or they could be bullied in the past and might be turning into one, or it could be because they're emotional.
Tell me about your role in all of this, Dave.
So as my role as Youth Engagement Officer, I go around the city and deliver the National Mini Police Programme. So some of those lessons might include antisocial behaviour, internet safety, road safety. As part of that 7-week programme, they also get to go out in their community, which is what we're doing today.
They've really enjoyed it. This is about our week 5 of the project, and we did it last year, so it's our 2nd year here. And they've been doing extra duties at playtime in their mini police uniform to encourage positive play and friendship. And they've learned a lot about antisocial behaviour, which they know that they want to pass on out to the local community as well.
Whatever the aim, these children were loving working together today. But one question did remain.
I'll tell you what, I want to ask you, who's going to polish your shoes tonight?
My mum.
Yeah, good luck with that, Mum. Claire Manning, ITV News, Keyham.
Great work being done there. Let's take a look at the weather now with James Wright.
Feels like home, whatever the weather. Valent Boilers and Heat Pumps sponsors ITV West Country weather.
Hi there, good evening. More wet weather to come over the next few days. In fact, as we head towards the end of the week, we are set to see a little bit of a troublemaker. Lots of showers until Thursday evening, when we see some really hefty rainfall falling across the southwest. Also some exceptionally high winds, particularly around the coast. It may well end up being named by the French Met Office as a storm. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Tonight, it's all fairly calm. Towards the end of the night, we'll start to see a few hefty showers drifting through. It's going to be mild overnight with all that cloud around with lows of 9 to 11 Celsius. It's quite a low cloud base, and that's why some of this cloud is showing up as mist on the chart. To tomorrow then, rather grey, plenty of showers from time to time, some of them rather heavy, a bit blustery too as the showers pass through, and then we've got a bit more of an organised band later on in the afternoon and through the evening. Temperature wise, in spite of the lack of sunshine, we're looking at a mild day with lows, or highs rather, of 13 or 14 Celsius. And then as we head into Thursday, something a little bit brighter, again rather showery but nice and mild with highs of 15 or 16 Celsius. You can see the rain building behind me.
Valent sponsors ITV West Country weather.
Thanks, James. That's the way it looks tonight. There's plenty more news from the region on our website. Have a good evening. Bye for now.